Hello, everyone. Welcome to the very last part 4 of axial muscles. Woohoo! We made it thus far, and I'm so proud of you. So proud of you for staying through it. I know it's so much to learn and so much to do, but we'll get through it. Remember, repetition, APR, all of that. Just constantly seeing this material at least 4 times a week is going to be super helpful in making sure that you are successful on the practical. So with that being said, appendicular muscle, there honestly is a lot more in that section. So what we're going to do is start here, get a head start on those sits muscle groups, and then break for a while. So let's get into it. Oh my goodness. All right, so rotator cuff group, or the sits group. You do need to know origin and insertion for all of them, but the really, really nice thing is that, like the head and neck muscles, a lot of these are named with their origin in mind, which is like, oh, that's so good. It's so nice and a lot of relief off your shoulders. And so just to recap, right, we have the sits group, the supraspinatus, infraspinatus, teres minor, and subscapularis. All of these muscles sit around pieces of the scapula. And remember, supraspinatus, right, that's going to sit right here in that supraspinous fossa. Infraspinatus sits below the spine in the infraspinous fossa. Teres minor as well sits with the infraspinatus. And then on the anterior side, kind of flipping the scapula over, we have the subscapularis sitting in the subscapular fossa. So this group should be super intuitive, and I'm gonna go quickly through it. All right, so the first one is the teres major. So just to note, right, teres minor is the one that is a part of the sits group. Teres major is doing its own thing. Remember the weird kind of stupid gimmick I used last time, like teres major, right? Like the major one, the big one, that's like the big brother that just does whatever. He's not a part of it. He's too cool to, be a part of the sits group. And so we see that muscle here, right? This is teres minor, so we won't talk about it just yet. And the origin of this one is going to be the inferior angle of the scapula, and the insertion, I'm so sorry, guys, it's going to be the intertubercular sulcus of the humerus. And so just to note, right, the intertubercular sulcus is, if this is, I think, yeah, like this right here should be the head of the humerus, and on the other side, we have that greater tubercle and the lesser tubercle. And so what I'm looking for is that groove right between them, this little groove in between the greater and lesser tubercle is the intertubercular sulcus, ITS. And so that right there is where the teres major is going to insert. All right, and what this is going to do is help extend the arm, right? So if we are in anatomical position, that just base kind of position there, that is extension of the arm, as well as medial rotation of the humerus. So, right, moving your shoulder or your humerus or arm in towards your midline. That's what the teres major is helping with. All right, let me exit this drawing real quick. All right, next up we have the supraspinatus. So now here we start to see that's a lot for the sits group. These muscles are named after their origin. So here, supraspinatus. What does that remind you of? The supraspinous fossa of the scapula. And so bones, it's going to be super helpful to review these structures here because they're going to come back to get you. So here we see the supraspinatus, right? This is the spine of the scapula, and so this muscle, a large majority of it sits above, oh my goodness, above the spine of the scapula. Okay. Okay, above the spine of the scapula, and it's going to insert on the greater tubercle of the humerus. And so just to note again, right, we have the head here of the humerus, or, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. The head would be more medial. So head of the humerus on this end, and then we have the greater tubercle and the lesser tubercle. I am so sorry for my drawings. And so the supraspinatus is going to come in and attach to that greater tubercle of the humerus right there. And so just note, right, the supraspinatus is going to help in deltoid, is a synergist of abduction of the arm, right? So abducting your arm from midline with the deltoid. And it's also going to help support the humeral head and help that joint, stay strong in action. Whoa. All right, next up we have the infraspinatus. And so for this one, right, just take a look at that name, the infraspinatus. What does it remind you of? It should remind you of the infraspinous fossa of the scapula, right? So these muscles are named after where they are sitting in the bone. And so knowing those bone features are going to be super helpful for your learning, especially as we go on to appendicular muscles. All right, perfect. So here we see the infraspinatus. It's also going to insert at the greater tubercle of the humerus, which is really nice. And its actions is it's helping modulate the action of the deltoid. So this would be kind of more like an antagonist or like a modulator. It's helping to really hone in all the movements of the deltoid, make sure that those movements are controlled. It's going to provide support for the humeral head and also help rotate the humerus lateral. So kind of that lateral rotation, right? So going away from midline. Infraspinatus is helping with that. Next up is teres minor. Now this one here, the origin is going to be the lateral border of the scapula, right? So remember, if the scapula is this kind of shape, medial border, or the lateral border, and kind of like the spine. Oh, yeah, the spine's up here, so then lateral border. All right, sweet. So kind of sort of a scapula. Lateral border will be over here. And so that is the origin for the teres minor. And the insertion is also going to be the greater tubercle of the humerus. And so here we see lots of actions. It's also playing kind of a role in controlling the actions of the deltoid, right? It's supporting the humerus, and it's also doing lateral rotation of the humerus. So it's nice. A lot of these actions are overlapping, so which is good for your studying. You don't need to overdo it on the studying. Next up, we have the subscapularis, and so just note, write that name, subscapularis. Where is the origin going to be based on the name? Probably in the subscapular fossa of the scapula, which is on the anterior side now of the arm. And so it inserts on the lesser tubercle of the humerus, okay? And also a little bit of the joint capsule, but don't worry about that. Now, action's pretty much the same, right? So it's helping to control the deltoid actions, as well as providing support for that humeral head and doing medial rotation of the humerus. Now here, just a note, right? For the sits group, it's really kind of intuitive and nice, right? Because going back, let me go back to that first slide. Like here, I'm going to put stars next to them. Like which ones are named using their origin? This one, and this one. So you already have so much information about where the origin is just from that. And then another note is that a lot of these also insert at the greater tubercle of the humerus, right? So when we look back, right, these all have pretty much the same insertions. The teres major intertubercular sulcus of the humerus, and then there's 1, 2, 3 greater tubercles, right? So supraspinatus, infraspinatus, and the teres minor are all inserting at the same point, and the only one that's different that is a part of the sits group is the subscapularis, which is inserting at the lesser tubercle. So just like, keep that, I would bring out a whiteboard or a piece of paper and just like write out, okay, where is everything inserting? Where is everything originating? You're going to see a lot of overlap, and this set for appendicular muscles is super intuitive to start off your learning process. So really cool. The last one we're going to cover is the deltoid. This one is not a part of the rotator cuff. Same with the teres major. Now here, the origin is going to be the acromion and spine of the scapula, right? And so the spine of the scapula is kind of posterior, but the acromion is somewhere here. That's the origin, and the insertion is going to be on the deltoid tuberosity of the humerus, right? Which is, we should remember from bones, that kind of rough patch halfway down the humerus is where the deltoid is. Now here we have a lot of actions, right? We're going to see medial rotation through the anterior fibers, right? So right here, these are the anterior fibers. Then the lateral fibers are going to play a role in doing abduction of the arm, right? So these are going to contract. It's going to pull the arm up and cause abduction of the arm, or that kind of moving away from midline of the arm. And then the posterior fibers at the back, right, are going to do lateral rotation of the arm. So it's going to help your arm rotate away from midline, right? So rotate away from midline. And so very cool stuff here, the deltoid. All right, so practice, right? APR, super helpful. These videos are recorded so you can watch them over and over and over again. Start looking over the origin and insertion, the actions, and when you get to lab, use that time wisely. Okay, this is a little frugal of me, but I always thought of it like I'm paying extra for labs. I'm like spending all this money, like, and I need to get my money's worth when I get to lab, especially because you only see models maybe like once or twice, like, before you take the practicals. Make sure that you're taking pictures, make sure that you're using the online resources, APR, doing repetition, doing what you can to, in open labs, to really, really, really hone in this information. But all in all, you all got this. Let your TA know if you have any questions. We made it through axial muscles. Next time we'll do appendicular, but good luck. You got this, and I'll see you later. All right, bye-bye. Hello everyone, welcome to part 3 of axial muscles, posterior axial muscles. So let's move on so we can go.